From one fighter trying to redeem himself from a knockout to the other risking it all to defend his title, the trilogy fight is finally happening. Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman are touching gloves on March 18th, and there's a lot to uncover about their ultimate rivalry. In just a few days, the fight between the two fighters will be over for good. At the press conference after UFC Vegas 67, Dana White confirmed that the two rivals will be the main event at UFC 286. Kamaru Usman's record is 20 wins and 2 losses, which is pretty good. Leon Edwards, who is the current welterweight champion with 20 wins, 3 losses, and 1 no contest, is his opponent.
Nice little elbow there by Leon.
It's happening at the O2 Arena in London. I can't wait. And I think I speak for everyone when I say that. Edwards wants to throw another huge wrench into the race. When they fought for the first time in 2015, Usman beat him after 3 rounds.
Usman with a nice takedown.
But you can see the takedown's getting a little bit.
He won because of a unanimous decision. The fight took place in the preliminary rounds of UFC because neither fighter was well known. Usman landed 48 strikes while his opponent barely landed 26. At the end of their first fight, he had control for an amazing 10 minutes and 50 seconds, while Edwards only had control for 40 seconds. If both fighters were known at the time, the fight would have gone viral, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Edwards is not like most fighters. In the UFC, Rocky has made a name for himself. He's in fantastic form and hasn't lost a lot since his fight with Usman.
Belongs in these big spots against the sport's best. Oh, another pull.
And in their second fight, he made sure Usman didn't forget. Kamaru has only lost twice since he was the UFC welterweight champion. One was in his second fight as a pro against Jose Caceres, and the other came from Edwards, who was his rival, because it was a fight that made everyone gasp. Rocky was only a minute away from losing to Usman again in the main event of UFC 278. It would have happened if everyone agreed. It was also Usman's first chance to fight for the welterweight championship. In the last minute of the 5th round, he shocked everyone by giving his opponent a head kick that knocked him out. I remember going crazy when things changed so quickly.
The cloth from which he is cut. I mean, that is a degenerate.
Just goes to show that in this sport, anything can happen. Leon Edwards said that the trilogy will be happening soon. There were rumors that Usman hurt his hand, which could keep him from coming back right away. But the 31-year-old said that UFC told his team to get ready for the fight, and that Usman has already begun training. At this point, everyone has agreed to fight, so he's getting ready for it. If something changes, that's a different situation. Rocky has an advantage in this fight because it's happening in London, where he lives. So he wants to know what Usman will do when he gets knocked out cold there. Since Usman is getting close to 36, people are also talking about his age. Edwards wants to see how his rival comes back now that he's getting older. He says that this fight will be very, very different. Even his coaches agree, and so do I. Usman has won their last 2 fights, but Edwards looks like he has a few tricks up his sleeve. The latter has never lost a fight in the UK, whether as an amateur or a professional. So he's looking forward to the fight. He told Usman not to fight because he thought it would be the same as before. Talk about confidence. If he does that, he's in for a rude awakening, he said. So who will win the 3rd one? Who gets the title will be decided by the trilogy. A few of the fighters talked about who they think will win. Very few people believe that Edwards will get the W. Only Jack Della Maddalena and Randy Brown, out of a group of 13, voted for him on the MMA Pros picks. Jan Blachowicz and Brian Battle are among the people who are behind Usman. And listen, it makes sense. Even though he lost his last fight, he won the first 4.5 rounds of this one. Battle said that the thing wouldn't happen twice, and that Usman would pick up right where he left off. The Nigerian Nightmare is a big favorite, and the odds are kind of in his favor. This time around, Edwards would have a lot of support and has been riding a huge wave of momentum. It would be a big mistake to think less of him. Before Edwards knocked out Kamaru Usman, he had never lost a fight in 9 years. So he's probably the scariest thing in his life. The way people bet on both of them showed what people thought of them. Based on the bets, it's more likely than 3-1 that Usman will beat the Brit. The second fighter will feel better about himself now that he scored a knockout. Gilbert Burns agrees with it too. The Brit has more going for him because he is moving faster. It's still close, but Usman might feel nervous after losing a lot in the last minute of their second match. Let's compare them and see who's more likely to win. Edwards is sure that his opponent's basic wrestling skills are good enough, but his own flaws can't be overlooked. Even though he won, it could have just been a lucky break. He hits well, and even though he's a southpaw, his fighting style is unique. He speeds up the fight, which makes his opponents angry and throws them off their game. The Brit is good at kickboxing, but wrestling isn't his thing. That's why Usman gives him such a hard time in the octagon. After their first fight, he worked on his defense against takedowns and his grappling. He's worked with famous people like Daniel Cormier and Khabib Nurmagomedov. I mean, who better than these two to learn from, right? In other words, he's gotten better, significantly. His career has been steady, and he's been winning for a while now. His way to glory will be to hit hard. And if you compare the two, he's better at it. The Nigerian Nightmare is a strong wrestler who also knows how to do other things, but he can only hit people in boxing. If he hasn't worked on that in his free time, he's in trouble. Usman uses jabs, straight punches, and crosses more than kicks. That's probably why he didn't see it coming the last time either. He makes Rocky's strength his own, which is bad. Edwards traps his opponent's lead hand with his lead hand to take away their jab. Without a jab, Usman will have no way to defend himself, and when he moves his head in or out to avoid getting hit, he gets kicked again. Some people even think that Edwards' wrestling will be great, but for that one, the fans will just have to wait and see, since Usman is in charge. Fans say that the place is one reason why Edwards didn't win their second fight. That fight had happened in Salt Lake City, which is high up. Because there is less air, fighters need oxygen to keep going. This time, he'll be in his own country, which will make things much easier for him. Rocky will not get as tired. A big part is also played by confidence. If you're scared in the octagon, you will always lose. And Usman might be off his game because he was knocked out before. Even his close friend Khabib says he probably won't be the same fighter. We'll probably find out soon enough who's better. That's that from me about the UFC 286 headliner fight.